Good morning, dear students. So, after chapter 3, that is the osmosis, now we are going for chapter 4th, plasmolysis. So, in this chapter, we are going to study this concept of plasmolysis. So, as you know that the types of osmosis, there are two types of osmosis, endoosmosis and exoosmosis. When water enters inside the cell from the outer solution, that phenomenon we call it as endoosmosis, which is responsible for the turgidity of the plant cell. To the contrary, when water is exit out or lost from the plant cell to the outer solution, that phenomenon is called as exoosmosis, and which is responsible for the shrinkage of the plant cell. So in the plasmolysis, we are going to study the effect of exoosmosis, where due to continuous exoosmosis the protoplasm shrink and appear at the center. So this heavy loss of the water is responsible for the considerable shrinkage of the protoplasm of the cell. So this phenomenon, it is called as plasmolysis. Introduction to the plasmolysis. In a normal plant cell, the protoplasm is tightly pressed against the cell wall, and if this normal plant cell is placed in a concentrated solution, that is the hypertonic solution, water comes out from the cell sap into the outer solution due to exoosmosis. So this movement of the water from plant cell into the outer hypertonic solution occurs due to the permeability of the cell wall. The cell wall is permeable to the water, so the movement of the water takes place from cell sap to the outer solution when the cell is placed in concentrated solution or hypertonic solution. So such phenomenon, it is called as exoosmosis. The protoplasm shrinks or contracts from the cell wall. This is called as plasmolysis or incipient plasmolysis. So due to continuous exoosmosis, the protoplasm shrinks or contracts from the cell wall. The phenomenon, it is called as the plasmolysis. The literary meaning of the plasmolysis: plasma means cytoplasm, lysis means breakdown. But here the breakdown with the fact that the protoplasm shrinks or contracts from the cell wall if the normal plant cell has been placed in a hypertonic solution. As you know that in a normal plant cell, the protoplasm is tightly pressed against the cell wall. Now such cell, if we placed in hypertonic solution, water comes out of the cell sap into the outer solution. So this phenomenon, it is called as the exoosmosis. Due to continuous exoosmosis, the protoplasm shrinks or contracts from the cell wall, and this phenomenon, it is called as the plasmolysis. If the outer solution is more concentrated as compared to the cell sap, so here cell sap, it is the solution that has been found in the cell, more precisely in the cytoplasm, that consists of solutes dissolved in the water or in the solvent. If the outer solution is more concentrated as compared to the cell sap, that is, it is hypertonic, the protoplasm contracts or shrinks more and more due to exoosmosis. So when we compare the concentration of the cell sap and the outer solution, and if the concentration of the outer solution, it is high, means it is hypertonic, then the cell sap, then the protoplasm contracts or shrinks more and more due to exoosmosis. The protoplasm, due to more shrinkage, get separated from the plant cell wall. It becomes spherical in form. This phenomenon is called as a plasmolysis. The tissue or cell is said to be plasmolysed. So if a normal plant cell, if you put in a hypertonic solution, means a solution having more concentration as compared to the cell sap, the protoplasm contracts or shrinks more and more due to exoosmosis. The protoplasm, due to more shrinkage, gets separated from the cell wall, it becomes spherical in form, and this phenomenon is called as the plasmolysis. And the cell which undergoes plasmolysis or whose plasmolysis has been occurred, it is said to be plasmolysed cell. Now the definition and mechanism. In such plasmolysed cell, outer space is occupied by the hypertonic solution. If a plasmolysed cell is placed in water, the phenomenon of de-endoosmosis takes place. Water enters into the cell sap and the cell becomes turgid and protoplasm assumes its original shape. Such phenomenon is called as deplasmolysis. So if a plasmolysed cell is placed in water, as you know that the phenomenon of endoosmosis has been takes place. So what happens in endoosmosis? Water from external solution enters into the cell sap. So when the water enters into the cell sap, the cell becomes turgid and protoplasm assume its original shape. So this phenomenon is called as deplasmolysis. The plasmolysis takes place in three stages: incipient plasmolysis, evident plasmolysis, and final plasmolysis. So these are the three stages of the plasmolysis where the protoplasm shrinks or contracts more and more due to the exoosmosis. So due to the shrinkage of the protoplasm, it appear in the center of the cell, it contracts or shrinks. So this whole process of the plasmolysis has been takes place in three stages. The first one is the incipient plasmolysis, second one is the evident plasmolysis, and the last is the final plasmolysis. Now here one by one we are going to study these three stages of the plasmolysis: incipient plasmolysis, evident plasmolysis, and final plasmolysis. So this is the first stage of plasmolysis. We call it as incipient plasmolysis. So in this figure we can see this is a normal plant cell. As you know that if the normal plant cell, if you put in a hypertonic solution, there is a phenomenon of exoosmosis. So due to exoosmosis, the water has been lost, water has been comes out from the cell sap into the outer solution. So as a result of loss of the water from the cell, the protoplasm get shrink and start to separate from the cell wall. So what happen in incipient plasmolysis? In incipient plasmolysis, if a normal cell is kept in hypertonic solutions, there is continuous movement of water from the cell to outside. So this is called as exoosmosis, and there is extreme shrinkage of plasma membrane called as a incipient plasmolysis. So here we can see the result of incipient plasmolysis, where if the normal plant cell has been put in a hypertonic solution, then water comes out of the cell into the outer solution. There is a shrinkage of the protoplasm. So here at the corners we can see the protoplasm gets shrink due to the loss of water due to exoosmosis. So this stage it is called as incipient plasmolysis. Next to this is the evident plasmolysis. The cell under evident plasmolysis loses water continuously due to continuous exoosmosis and shrinks further in volume. So the shrinkage has been increased as compared to the incipient plasmolysis. The plasma membrane get torn or separate completely from the cell wall. Here we can see this is the plasma membrane which get completely separated from the cell wall and goes on contracting. This is called as evident plasmolysis. So evident plasmolysis occurs after incipient plasmolysis, where the cell loses water continuously and shrinks further in volume. So this shrinkage resulted into the fact that the plasma membrane here, it gets separated from the cell wall and goes on contracting. So this is called as evident plasmolysis. So in this diagram we can see this evident plasmolysis, where the plasma membrane get completely separated from the cell wall and goes on contracting further. So the protoplasm shrinks and gets separated from the cell wall. So this is the feature of evident plasmolysis. And the last stage, that is the final plasmolysis. So in this last stage of the plasmolysis, due to continuous exoosmosis, the shrinkage of the cell and the cytoplasm reaches the maximum limit. Here we can see this protoplasm, it gets separated from the plasma membrane, and the shrinkage of the protoplasm or cytoplasm reaches the maximum limit. The further shrinkage in volume is not possible. The cytoplasm will be completely free from the cell wall and remains in the center of the cell. So these are the characteristics of the final plasmolysis, where the shrinkage of the cell and cytoplasm reaches the maximum limit. The further shrinkage of the protoplasm in terms of volume is not possible. The cytoplasm will be completely free from the cell wall and appears or remains in the center of the cell. So this is called as final plasmolysis. A cell which has undergoes plasmolysis is called plasmolyzed cell. So here this cell is a plasmolyzed cell, where the plasmolysis occur in this cell. So due to the plasmolysis, the protoplasm get shrink, it get separated from the plasma membrane, it remains in the center of the cell, and the further shrinkage in volume is not possible after this stage. So this is the final plasmolysis. So here the plasmolysis has been takes place in 3 stages: incipient plasmolysis, evident plasmolysis, and final plasmolysis. Okay, so these are the stages of plasmolysis. We can explain the mechanism of the plasmolysis with the help of these 3 stages. Now, significance of plasmolysis in plants. The phenomenon of plasmolysis is an important process in plant life. This process having following significance. It proves that cytoplasm acts as a semi-permeable membrane between external solution and vacuole. So here the vacuole that is generally found in the normal plant cell, here at the middle, at the center, there is a vacuole or a empty cavity, and in between this the plasma membrane that has been present between the vacuole and the external solution. So this plasma membrane act as a semi-permeable membrane. So here the plasmolysis has been useful to prove that this cytoplasm act as a semi-permeable membrane between external solution and vacuole. It is evident only in living cells. So plasmolysis occurs only in the living cell, not in the dead cell. Hence this process of plasmolysis is useful for deciding whether the cell is living or dead, because plasmolysis occurs only in living cells. It is used for determining approximate osmotic pressure of the cell by identifying incipient plasmolysis stage. So this process of plasmolysis is used for determining approximate osmotic pressure of the cell. So this can be possible by identifying incipient plasmolysis stage. The rate of spontaneous deplasmolysis is a measure of permeability of the cell to the solute. So when a plasmolyzed cell, if you put in a water, it regain its shape, water enters inside the cell due to endoosmosis. So this rate of spontaneous deplasmolysis is a measure of the permeability of cell to the solute. The process of deplasmolysis is useful to regain original shape and size by the wilted plant organ. When the wilting occur in the plant organ due to the excessive water loss, the process of deplasmolysis is useful to regain the original shape and size of such wilted plant organ. So these are the significance of the plasmolysis in plant. So this process proves that cytoplasm act as a semi-permeable membrane between external solution and vacuole. The plasmolysis is evident only in, it occurs only in living cells. So this process is useful for deciding whether the cell is living or dead. Further, it is used to determine approximate osmotic pressure OP of the cell by identifying incipient plasmolysis stage. The rate of spontaneous deplasmolysis is a measure of the permeability of the cell to the solute. Further, the process of deplasmolysis is useful to regain original shape and size by the wilted plant organs. So this is all about the plasmolysis. So here we stop. Thank you.